Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host, Javed Mohammed, and we're here with Dr. Abigail Giles-Haigh. Abby, welcome.
Nice to be here. Very nice to have you online.
Thank you so much. And Abby is an Oracle ACE Director. She's also the Chief Data Science Officer at Veritas. So very honored to have you with us. So you're presenting at UKOUG, and it's just the title of itself sounds like the name of a movie, The Madness of the Seven Kingdoms. What's all that about, Abby?
So The Madness of the Seven Kingdoms is kind of the encore to our first one, which was Game of Fraud. So we're going back in time to the land of Westeros, and the Dragon Queen has got some problems. There's injured dragons, and she has asked us to step in with Oracle ADW to see if we can harness a SQL with machine learning to kind of find out who's been injuring all the dragons and who might be behind it. So I'm teaming up with Chris Saxon to look at some cool SQL skills on how you can enrich data, how you can kind of use that in machine learning. But then we're also going to explore beyond that some of the issues that you might face when you're training machine learning models, looking at things like ethics and how you might, some top tips to kind of handle that whilst you're doing your machine learning.
Well, that's a very huge, you've taken on a huge endeavor there. So can we just kind of segment this just a little bit? I mean, maybe it's like not even segmented, but just like peeling the onion a little bit at a time. So the first thing that just kind of caught my attention when you were talking is just, you're talking about ethics. I mean, how do you bring, ethics and machine learning? I mean, parse that for us.
So it's a huge area that I'm quite keen on, is understanding in our new world where humans and machines interact on a pretty regular basis whenever we're using our mobile phones or when we're using applications. There tends to be a level of machine learning under the hood. So what we're going to talk people through is kind of where these things might occur, why they might happen, and also what techniques you can use in SQL to kind of identify when they have happened, how you can fix them, and how you can test to make sure it doesn't happen. So specifically in this case, we're just going to look at some personal information and how that might influence a machine learning model for a negative reason, and how you might check and therefore change your machine learning models.
Okay, so you talked about SQL. So how does that kind of factor into all of this?
So a classic one is that instead of moving the data to the machine learning algorithms, move the machine learning algorithms down to the database. So the idea is that instead of having to ship all this data out to do cool machine learning, let's just utilize what the database is great at. So machine learning has been built into the database since like 9i, so it's been there for a while, just a few releases of Oracle in there. Chris Saxon kind of takes us through that journey of some of the analytical functions, how you can group data, how you can explore data, and to really get your data understanding. And then we also explore how you build machine learning models within the database. And that's everything from your training data, your training of the model, applying it, and then testing it. So how well did you do, and was it good enough?
And are there particular use cases that you'll cover other than Game of Thrones?
So in this one, this is all completely theoretical. So the other thing about this is what we're going to do is release it on GitHub as well. So people will have the ability to have the data and the SQL scripts next to it, so that they can take it, put it in their own ADW or in their own database and follow through the story that is the Seven Kingdoms Madness, so that they can kind of learn these skills on the job and understand the journey that we took. Something that we learned from Game of Fraud is people want to learn these skills. So we kind of bring it to life through a presentation, but more than that, this time we're releasing that code and that data so that people can kind of work through it. So during the presentation, we'll give you sort of some of the use cases where this has actually happened. So where there have been data and ethical issues in machine learning algorithms, and hopefully you'll kind of understand why this is such a hot topic and why I'm so passionate to make sure that it's something everybody can understand and get into.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a really exciting, Oscar-worthy presentation, and we encourage all the viewers out there to check it out. So one question I always like to ask when I interview folks is a little bit about their location. And I was asking you actually off camera where you are based, and you mentioned Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK. So if someone was to be visiting Newcastle upon the UK and they happen to venture into your part of the world, what's like one experience or one food, or I mean, I'm sure there are many things to do out there, but if there's like one thing you would recommend them to do, what would it be?
Oh wow, Newcastle's such a diverse city. So whilst it is a city, within sort of half an hour's drive, you're into the wilderness as well. So probably where I am, I'm kind of on the coast side. So I'd say getting fish and chips and sitting and watching the sea is something that are very, very local to the northeast, and something that you do. But kind of tied to the Westeros theme. I'm only, a stone's throw away from Scotland. So we used to have a wall between us and the north, so us and Scotland, known as Hadrian's Wall. So that's another good place to go and visit, is Hadrian's Wall.
It's up there. Okay.
Yeah. So you could literally stand on the wall and wave to Scotland, and it kind of, some of the inspiration behind Game of Fraud, linked to that TV series known as Game of Thrones, and the whole wall to the north.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a little wall here in Newcastle.
So a lot of history, and it sounds like some great food.
Certainly is. Definitely come visit the northeast. It's a little bit cold at the minute, so I'd definitely recommend bringing the winter warmers.
All right. Abby, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. All the best, and thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much.